Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, we're going to be painting some lily pads and some water lily flowers. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man of chat tonight, so you've got questions, you can ask those while I'm painting. Let's get started. Alrighty, so I've prepped my canvas here. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I'm kind of far away. Can you move that over so I can see the whole? Yeah, thank you. Okay, there we go. I've got a 9 by 12 inch canvas here. I've prepped it with a very light coat of yellow oxide and kind of sketched up roughly a little bit with chalk, but we'll go over that a little bit more later. As far as brushes go tonight, we'll probably use some Filberts because that's kind of with these rounded shapes. I think that'll work. So I've got a couple sizes of Filberts. I've got a couple of blenders and a round brush and my bright for filling in this background here, and then a angle brush for the flowers. So these are all velvet, or the red handles are VelvetTouch and the green handles are the Summit 6100 series, and both are from Princeton. And there's links down in the description if you're interested in finding them. Okay, colors are, what color is that? Burnt umber. Had a brain blip there. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, India yellow hue, Quinacridone Magenta, Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, Phthalo blue green shade, Phthalo green yellow shade, Unbleached Titanium, Titanium white, and some Satin glazing liquid. All right, let's jump in here. Hope everybody's doing well. Glad you're joining us tonight. All right, I'm going to start with the 8 Bright here, and I'm just going to kind of block in some of the sky that is reflected in the water. I took this photo. You could see a little bit of the clouds up here, and then it's really dark. So when you're looking straight down into water, you're going to see not as much reflection. You're going to mostly see what's underneath the water. If it's at an angle away from you, that's when you'll kind of start to see. So as we get farther away, we're seeing some of these clouds and things. But here we're seeing a little bit of reflection of what's just like really close to the water. So anything really close to the water will show up as well as what's underneath the water. So we're seeing actually on this side a little bit of the stems under the water too. But anyhow, we'll get to that later. All right, so let me do this. Actually, I think I'm going to, instead of using that bright, I think I'm just going to use a 4 Filbert, and I'm just going to kind of lightly sketch in our lily pads, and that way we'll kind of know where to put the rest of our elements. So I'm going to get some burnt sienna for that. And starting with our focal point ones, which are these two here. So this one, we want to take up a lot of this area here. At the bottom, it's going to come almost halfway. This one is going to be in the halfway mark of our canvas, and it's going to be like in here, and it's a little bit flattened out. If you looked at it straight down, it's more round. So this one's going to look more round than this one, because this one we're looking at a little bit of an angle. So I'm going to just kind of try to get this accurate as I can. So something around there, maybe a little bit bigger. The edges like roughly, and all of the striations are going in toward the middle. This was taken at the Botanical Gardens in Atlanta. They have a really beautiful lily pad area, lily pond, right in front of the tropical enclosure. I don't know what it was called, but anyhow, so it was really pretty. The whole place was nice. Yes, thank you. I shouldn't start to talk while I'm trying to draw here. Okay, so these two are pretty close together, and there's going to be this lily right in between them. I might move the lily up just slightly so that it's over here, I think, just to occupy this space right here. Get it more on the third. instead of right in the halfway mark. Somewhere in here will be our lily. Might make it bigger too. Just like that. Okay, and then I think I'm going to move the one that's down here over so that it is in the corner. Its edges are kind of curled up. So I think I'll do that. Like that. Okay, and then our lily up here is going to be in this area. I might move it up away from it a little bit. So really fill in that whole area with the lily. And then we'll have our big one coming off here that's kind of about half as big as this one. There. And then another one in that upper corner, and I might overlap those two a little bit. And that one might be too big, actually. This one needs to be getting smaller. I don't know why I'm making it the same size as that, because that's not correct. So I need to, in order to make this look farther away, I need to make sure these are getting smaller as they go up the canvas.
Okay, so the area, in case you were wanting to know, which I knew you weren't, is the Dorothy Chapman Fuqua Conservatory.
Fuqua?
F-U-Q-U-A.
Fuqua.
Fuqua Conservatory.
Interesting.
That's the tropical.
Yeah, it was really cool inside.
It's a huge indoor thing with
it's really neat.
misters, and it's just
beautiful.
like
really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like little frogs were cute too. They had some frogs and.
Oh yeah.
Was that the area that with the? I don't think that had birds. Can't remember.
I think there might have been some flying around in there, but not very many.
Yeah, I can't remember. Okay, so something like that. I'm not sure I love those two right there, competing for space. Now that I've moved them over. Okay, and then this area is going to be where our clouds are. And then there's just a little bit of these more greenish ones up here. And just going to kind of leave a few up there. Okay, so that's what we've got. I might put the bud that's over here in the picture down here. Or even over here. I don't know. Though this is where that reflection is going to be of this lily. Comes down and that stem goes down in, and the reflection is right there in the water. There's a little bit of reflection on this one, but not as much. Okay. I'll just go ahead and pull that in. I was trying to kind of soften off those edges, and I forgot to catch that one before it dried, just so I didn't have any raw edges there. Okay, that looks pretty good for a composition. Feels like it's going like that. You see how much there's like so many elements here going in that direction. So I feel like, you know, we could put one of the buds here to break that up. Maybe even just like right in here somewhere. That would be in the line of the reflection, but I think kind of help the composition a little bit, maybe. Don't know. I might even bring this one over a little bit more. Make it a little bit bigger. And I think I made this one too round, so I'm gonna stretch it out this way. Some. And this stage is just like our sketchy sketch stage, so nothing is set in stone. We can take this out if we decide we don't like it. And I think I'm going to cut that off right there a little bit more instead of bring it down as much. So somewhere like that instead, and let that be water there. Okay, so let's get some of our, I'll get my bigger brush now and get some of our blue. And we just want to make a dark blue-green for our water. So I'm going to use the Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, or Phthalo Blue and Ultramarine Blue, and then just a little bit of the Phthalo Green. And then I want to neutralize it because it's not, it's obviously not this bright. So I'm going to get my burnt umber and add that. And that should give me a nice dark greenish indigo blue. That is what I'm kind of seeing in this picture. You can go more blue if you want, you know, if you want it to look a little more sunny. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. So just whatever seems good to you. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in and try to kind of mimic the shapes I'm seeing. I probably should have done this on a bigger canvas because this is kind of small area to try to get all this detail in. We could even simplify it more if we wanted to. All right, this looks good. We'll put our clouds in, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. And this will also reveal kind of our shape, overall shape of our composition to having this negative space revealed. And we can make edits to anything that we decide isn't working. And I'm just going to cover over most of that flower so that when we go to put it in, it's going to be over the top of that. That looks good. I'm going to be a little bit more expressive with this one than I might with others. I think it just kind of lends itself to it. So I need a little bit more of that color. And it's okay if it's a little bit more green or a little bit more blue. It doesn't really matter. We're just trying to get our background in. We can edit later what the actual finished colors are going to be. But see how the reflection here is both lighter and darker than our water. So I want to keep this water mid-tone enough so that I can go darker with it. So don't go too dark with it right at first. So I want to be able to come back over it with my shadows here, where this shadow is. I'm just going to paint over that area. I can still see it a little bit through. And make sure that this shape is where I want it to be. It's a little closer to where I want it.
Your biggest fan has joined us.
Noah. Hi, Noah. How are you doing? Sweet girl.
Miss
my
Noah.
Granddaughter. Gonna come see her this weekend. Can't wait.
Nice.
Yeah, she's like, what is Gigi painting? This is not looking like much yet. We'll get it there. We'll be painting some flowers here in a little bit. Okay, looks good. Getting a little bit of expressive brush strokes in the water too, which is nice. And I definitely think I could bring this one out a little bit more than I have it. Okay, that's nice. All right. So let me get some white now. And I'm going to start by just kind of adding that to that color, and then maybe picking up a little bit of, what would we use to gray that out? Probably burnt umber. So I don't have any black, and we'll just make a gray out of that. And I'll start to use it to add some clouds in here, and I'm kind of using the corner of my brush here. I'm just going to, I'm going to make the clouds a little bit more floofy than what my picture showed even. Just a little bit more floofing.
We have a question regarding color substitutions.
Okay.
Somebody would like to know what is a good substitute or mix for India yellow,
Okay.
green gold,
Okay.
and yellow oxide.
Okay. Yellow oxide's one that I would buy for sure, because it's kind of hard to mix, and it's not, it's kind of a pretty staple color. The yellow oxide or if you have yellow ochre, it's the same basically. So you have either a yellow oxide or yellow ochre or a raw sienna or some sort of yellowish neutral. It's going to be important to have in your palette. If you absolutely don't have it and can't afford it, you can try to mix it. I've tried to mix it before. It's really hard. It doesn't really have the same color. You can use your neutral browns and some yellow and some white and try to get it. You know, it's not going to be the same, but you can get it close, I guess. You know, and I can't tell you the ratio because, like I said, I've tried mixing it. It's pretty hard, and it would take a while to, you know, get the ratio. I don't have it, like, I can't remember exactly what colors I used and how much to get it, but it was not worth the trouble, right? That's the whole idea behind using mixed colors like the India yellow and the green gold. If I don't have it on my palette today, but green gold is a little easier. It's mostly yellow, so you can use cadmium yellow light and mostly India yellow. So if you don't have India yellow, green gold is going to be harder. If you have nickel azo yellow, that's what's in green gold. So and it's a close substitute for yellow oxide. Okay, I'm gonna keep going here. So, and the green gold is yellow and mostly yellow and just a little bit of green. So, mostly yellow oxide, or I'm sorry, yellow, India yellow, or nickel azo yellow, and like a Hansa yellow light or a cadmium yellow light, something like that. So that's what you're gonna mix for green gold. And the India yellow, you can try it. I think it has a little bit of magenta in it, and yellow, and I can't remember if there's anything else in there. Okay, so there's our clouds. I might go a little bit more neutral with it, maybe get a little bit of unbleached titanium in here and put some of that in. I've switched to my blender brush, and I'm kind of holding it almost flat here just to and this is gonna really merge with the background. It's gonna be darker than, you know, true sky color. And honestly, I'm not loving this, so I'm tempted to just take it out, but okay, we'll leave it there for now. I feel like it needs to be a little bit more yellow. Okay, and then let's go ahead and I think it'll help once we kind of start to alter the sky around it though. So I'm going to get a little bit of that color I was using, a little bit of the Ultramarine Blue and the mixture there. Just kind of a little bit lighter version of that background color, maybe a little bit darker than that. Here we go. And then I'm going to come up over that cloud and in my water. This will kind of help merge them. Right now they look like stuck on. So just kind of push that back, smush it around. And here I'm just going to kind of add a light, almost frosting of this color over, like almost dry brushed over this, just to add that sky color to our water. And I'm going a little bit lighter. The acrylic's dry darker, so it'll look lighter, but once it dries, it'll probably be about what we want. Okay, that looks good. So now it's starting to look like a little bit of a reflective quality, right? Not so dark. Not so pasted on. Okay, so that looks good. I think I'll leave that there. And then let's start filling in our lily pads. So I'm going to go back to this brush, I think, the Filbert. Or let's go the blender, because then I can really push the paint around. All right, so the lily pads themselves are a really cool color. They're like a reddish, almost magenta on the tips, and then kind of a dark purpley burgundy stripe, and then that bright green, acid green color on the centers. So I think I'll start with the green, since we're already at yellow. So we'll go to green, and then we'll do the edges and then add our purple on. So let's go ahead and mix up a pretty good amount. This will be our kind of green gold substitute. So I'm going to get, probably don't need that much. I'm going to have to use all of that yellow to mix in that green. So I'm going to get my India Yellow Hue, that's why I put out so much of it, and mix in, there we go. I might need the cadmium yellow light just to give it a little bit of brightness. Well, I think that'll be okay. All right, and then I'm going to wipe that out. That was white added to it. And then I'm going to get some more of that, maybe even some yellow oxide, and add it to the bigger pile of green here. And then I'm definitely going to have to neutralize that, so I'm going to get a pretty good dollop of burnt sienna too and add that. So that's going to make my bright neutral green. That will be mostly in these lily pads up here. Okay. And I'm going to get some more of that yellow over here. Mix those two together. This one has the burnt sienna in it. And we'll have kind of a middle, another mid-tone that kind of falls between these two. Okay. I'm going to start with that. This one is going to be bigger, and part of it's underwater. So right in here, I'm just going to kind of lightly scrape it. How's it going there?
It's going well.
Yeah.
Yes, we just realized that it's less than 6 months till Christmas.
What?
Time to put up the tree.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, get put up the tree now, so we have it up in time.
Well, we might have it decorated in time.
Yeah, exactly. We do have that many ornaments, if you think That's exaggerating, no. We didn't put very many of them up last year because we were like, no. Like, now that we have grandkids again, I'm a little bit more motivated, but when the kids were little, I was all about it.
yeah,
But now that I'm
yeah.
working full time and they're gone, it's like, what? I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's worth it. All right, I'm using the mid-tone and then the light tone here. And I'm just adding a little. And I honestly probably just going to keep this pretty much like this. I don't think I'm going to do a lot of firm details on this. I'm not going to get super fussy with it. And then I obviously need my shadows though. So there's some darker areas and some magentas and things in there, but I'm not going to put those in right now. So that'll be good for now. And then let's go ahead and get this kind of mid-tone color, which is what I'm seeing kind of in here. So these lines will kind of radiate out from the center. So I'm going to just start by picking out your center. Then I don't know what is going on there. I guess that's supposed to be one right there.
Looks like you got one overlapping the other.
Yeah, I do, but it's not really making sense. The shape's not making sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to get some magenta and burnt umber, burnt sienna, I mean, and I'm mixing it with my green. So, using what's left on my brush here, I'm going to use that to fix that. There we go. Okay, and then this one. There are lots of frogs in here too. I tried to get some of the frogs, but I couldn't get a really good picture of them. So you could add a frog to yours if you wanted to. That'd be cute. We did a frog last year on a lily pad, so you could use that guy if you wanted to. Maybe put him on this one or something. Okay, and then I'm just kind of blending out those edges so they kind of soften out as they go in. Yeah, it's looking all right. Probably add a little bit more detail there, but that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and use some of this to darken up underneath some of these guys. Okay. And I'm going to get my little bit bigger filbert for these bigger ones here. Get some of that mid-tone green. Start out with the lighter color. It's going to go on pretty transparent. I don't have any white in this one here. It's just the yellow oxide and phthalo green, so it's a transparent color, which is nice. So I'm going to get a nice bright tone right there. I'll find my center. I think I want to mark that center a little bit with my little bit darker green. Just a little bit, right? Kind of right in here. Okay, so that's where my lines are going to come out from. And on this one, they're going to come out from right about here. Okay. And this one is out here, off. If it seems like I'm going fast, I am, because we've got the flowers to get to still and the reflection, so I'm just trying to leave myself time to do all the stuff that I'm seeing in this. There's a lot going on, so we're having to sacrifice our, super detailed, which I don't think this one needs it. I really like painting water lilies this way because it's kind of reminds me of Monet, like doing my water lily paintings. I don't think I've done one that's particularly super realistic. Maybe one, but most of the water lily ones that I've painted I've done in this kind of looser style, and it just seems like it lends itself to it. And I'm adding my green now that has the white in it, so I'm kind of streaking through what I've already done. I'm trying to add some of that. Okay. It's hard to tell what that color is in my picture. It almost feels orange to me, so I wonder if I need to add. I might glaze over that later. It's kind of bugging me. All right, so let's add our darker color. So I'll add a little bit of the darker green. Doesn't go very dark though with the green part. It's kind of more just goes to the burgundy. There is some little bit darker greens kind of in that darker area along the edges, so I'll bring that green out a little bit. Okay. All right, I'm gonna get some water. I'm gonna leave that green in there because I want the green in my brush. And then I'm gonna make up some of that magenta burnt sienna color. Mix that with a little bit of that green. I'm gonna get some of the darker green. There we go. There. All right, and I'm gonna kind of just glaze this. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of my glaze and kind of keep this somewhat transparent here at first. I want to do that layer that's kind of blends into the green first, and then we'll do our stripes with the darker purple. So I want to keep it kind of in the outer border area. See, and you can see why you want to blend out that edge, because like right there I can see where my original outline was. I'm going to have to go darker with this there to cover it. I'm just going to blend it lightly in towards the center. I went kind of heavy-handed with it up here. I don't think I should have put it on quite that thick, maybe. It's not that dark back here. Okay. Looks good. Not very much of that color peeking through at the bottom here. Let me move that up. because we're pretty close to the bottom here, you can see. So we want to not bring it in too close to that center there. Then about right here, we're going to start to have it show up again. Okay. Now right here on the edge, I want to go a little bit darker. Kind of really define that edge. I'm going to have to add white to it because you can see it's not really showing up over this blue here. So I'm going to add a little bit of white. And probably need to change my brush too. You can see the edge is very like raggedy. Okay. I'm gonna go a little bit lighter with that. Get a little bit more magenta, maybe a little bit of my India yellow and a little bit of my green, and then a little bit of the white. Need it lighter. I'm just going to keep adding white until I get it light enough. Add some yellow. I don't want it to go like too pink. The yellow will keep it from going super pink. There we go. Yeah, that works. All right, let's go ahead and use this color, maybe a little bit of the darker along the edge here. It's kind of cupped up. This one's kind of underwater, I think. Magenta, burnt sienna. Turned out okay, I think. And it's okay to have different colors too, so I'm kind of adding a little bit more red here, and gives it a little bit of variety to do that, so I'm not concerned about that not being exactly the same color as the other ones. Cleaning that out, going back over and getting some of the kind of mid-tone burnt sienna. Burnt sienna, this one had the yellow and white in it. So burnt sienna, and magenta. Okay, you can see how it kind of disappeared there again, so I need to define that edge a little bit. I think it overcorrected when I adjusted the edge there. Okay, make sure that I blend these all out towards the center. I'm always pointing towards that midpoint that I have. Okay, go ahead and get some of that green. I'm going to add a little bit of that magenta, maybe a little bit of the lighter white, and blend this out. I'm just kind of going back and forth over that edge to blend that green back into the magenta. Oh my goodness, it's got so much yellow in it. Or so much magenta in it. I'm going to get a little bit more white here and kind of highlight that center a little bit. Really comes down like that.
Got a question for you.
Yep.
I want to know, how do you get so many applications of paint on your canvas before reloading? It seems that they either have goopy paint or hardly any on their brush.
It's probably the way you're loading your brush. Just take a little extra time when you're picking up your paint, and also where you're picking up your paint from. If I'm picking up my paint from a thick pile of paint, like in the middle, I'm going to end up with a gloopy mess. So I always, if I'm picking up a lot of paint, and even if I want it thick paint, I'm always going to come off and offload that paint. You can kind of do that by smushing your brush down and twisting it a little bit. And that way you're already going to have less paint on there. And then to go a step further, I'll push it down flat on a clean spot, flip it over and do it again. And so now I have it evenly distributed through my brush, and then I can go in and add it. And I'm controlling how much goes down onto the canvas that way. Okay. Hopefully that helps. But you really need to push down to get that paint in the brush. You know, that may be, if you're getting too little paint, then you're probably not pressing down hard enough. If I just barely touch it through my paint here, it's not going to pick up anything. So I have to really press down when I'm wanting to pick up the color. I'm scooping it up first, and then I'm pressing it down. So scoop, press, twist, you know, turn it, and then go to canvas. So it's not just grab the paint, go to canvas. There's a couple of steps in between that make it, now if I've already got that color on there and I'm just picking up a little bit more, then I can kind of just scoop sometimes, but I've already got the paint flattened out here, so I know I can kind of brush through it and I can pick up paint. It's not going to be a big gloppy mess like it is over here if I was to pick up paint from over there. So it also depends on where I'm picking the paint up from. If I already have kind of pressed it flat and gotten it thinned out, then I can come back in and pick up from that same area without having to go through the whole thing of, you know, twisting my brush and all of that. That is not wanting to put paint right there. It is fighting me. Come on. I'm just going to put it on thick. Let's see if I can get it to stick. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off. And right here where I have too much of that color, I'm just going to try to kind of swipe it off while it's wet. There we go. You can get some of that green and go in the opposite direction too. All right. Yeah, that one's kind of fighting me a little bit. I feel like it's still looking a little flat, so I think I want to have some longer streaks. I think when I put my streaks in, I think I need to round out that corner a little bit more. Right here, bring it out just a little bit more. I don't know why I'm not finishing this corner. Okay, there we go. Good. Let's go ahead and work on this one here, just blending in those two colors. And this is pretty dark down here, so I'm going to go ahead and get my darker green. Just to kind of a light coat over most of the transition there between that pink and green area, or the purple and green area. There we go. All right, nice. Okay, I'm going to get some of this light green here, and I'm going to set in some highlights that I'm seeing on these ones up here. And then there's like a little bit of area underneath here that's transparent under the water, which kind of hard to tell. That's good. Get the darker green and come along this edge with that. And then just do a light kind of border where that water is. Okay, good enough. Let's get that darker green here and just kind of try to separate out some of these. There's two kind of pushing up against each other right here. This one's got a little shadow on it. And there's a shadow kind of behind where this one's lifting up. And then there's some dark right there. Comes down. This is part of the underside of it that's curled up. Some more of that magenta. There we go. A little bit of that magenta kind of coming in under here where the water line is. Okay. And then get some unbleached titanium with that magenta color and highlight. Where it's lifted up. Okay. We'll see what that looks like when it dries. It may need to be blended in, but we'll see. Hoping that I don't have to blend it too much. Okay. Magenta, a little bit of green, burnt sienna. Just going to blend back over that because it's bugging me. Okay. And then in the water, there's a really pronounced shadow. So I'm going to come under here and do that. I'm using the same burgundy color. A lot of times you're going to want to use the same color. I don't know why I brought it way over there. It's not over there. A lot of times you're going to want to use the same color as your darkest part of whatever it is that you're shadowing. So it just makes sense. You know, you can also add some blue here. Maybe we can add a little bit of the blue color that's in our water. That will influence it as well. I'm going to get some glaze. It's a pretty dark shadow. This one doesn't have any shadow. This one does. And there's actually a little bit of the highlight too, showing in the water. Right there. Okay. Can do, this one doesn't have the highlight. If it's flush with the water, it's not going to show up as much as if it's lifted up off of it. So that's what determines kind of where you do your shadows or not. So these ones that are kind of flush with the water, the shadow is less obvious. I'm going to get some purple here. Do some purple. Okay. Maybe there's a little bit of a shadow, which I already kind of did over here. Okay, that looks good. Good enough. Let's do our shadows on our lily pads here, which there is a little bit of. It's real close to them because they're flush with the water, so I'm not seeing much, but there is a little bit of shadow. This also helped define them a little bit, which I'm going to come back in and do more once I get this done. This is purple that I'm using for this. This one, the shadow is on the inside where the water line is. Coming across. And it just kind of blends out. Isn't that amazing? I just kind of put in that shadow right there. And then we'll just highlight the tips of those and it'll bring it pop it right back up out of the water. And we're not seeing a shadow here because we're facing this way. So if we were looking at it from this direction, we would see the shadow underneath. But because we're looking at it from this direction, this is raised up so much that the shadow underneath is not visible to us. But this one is, because it's facing us. It's on our side. It's on our side. You can do it. So funny. I don't know why. Sometimes I hear what I'm saying. Strikes me funny. Okay, sorry. Weird moment. All right, so I think we're ready for our stripes, and we'll do our flowers. What time is it? Okay, hour. We did good. We've got plenty of time for our flowers. Famous last words. Okay. But we're getting there. It's looking closer to what I want it to look like. All right, so for our stripies, I'm gonna mix up a lot of this color because there's in all of them. I'm gonna use my purple, which I just used for my shadow, and my magenta, a pretty good amount, kind of 50-50 probably, and then my burnt sienna. So a little bit less of the burnt sienna. The purple may overpower this, we'll see, but I do want it dark, so if I don't add enough purple, it won't be dark enough. So I want it darker than this, which was the magenta and burnt sienna. So I'm adding the purple to make it darker. And I can also add some burnt umber to it because I feel like the purple might be a little too party time, you know, in your face, bright. Okay. Let's grab some of that, see what we think of it. We might even add some of the green to it. I think this will work. Yeah, that'll work. It's a nice color. Okay. So I'm just going to use this with the tip of my brush and kind of create these little stripies, and they come from the center and go out and then kind of connect up, creating these shapes. I don't think you can do this wrong necessarily as long as you keep the direction going right. So it kind of comes curved right here. If you curve it, that'll help that shape a little bit. Curve it before you go out. Yeah, it's almost like 50-50 right there. Okay. I'm still feeling like that center looks a little weird to me, but maybe I just need to kind of do like that with it. And I want this thin enough that it flows on really smoothly. And you can make it transparent, and then you can go back over it with darker color. More opaque color, I should say. You could leave this part out if you don't like the, coloring on it. These ones look great just as they are, so it's up to you. There's all kinds of different coloring on these lily pads that you can do, so it's not have to be exactly like mine. I really didn't need that part in the middle there. Need to leave a little bit more holes in them. By holes, I mean like there's holes in that where the green is peeking through. getting there. This can take a while. Kind of an area right there that's raised up, so I want to be sure I get that a little bit. A little bit darker than the rest. Nice. Okay. Fun. Gonna use a little bit of this color, kind of where the end of the lily pads are over here. Just in my darkest area.
Let's try that again. This is a tough part.
Why?
Well, just because it's like repetitive,
Yeah.
but you have to be careful in order to keep it realistic looking.
Right.
Can't be all just like the same.
Yeah, that's it. You
Look.
kind of have to go slow. The temptation is to do the same thing over and over again, which will kind of take the realism out of it. So
Right.
kind of have to go slow and just kind of look at your reference and don't get too. If the paint's not going down smoothly, you may add a little bit of water to it too. So keep an eye on that. You may need to add water accordingly as you go. The more you paint, by the time you get over here, my brush is starting to get dry. So I just need to pick up a little bit of water right here. Don't dunk the whole thing, but just pick a little bit of water up. It soaks it up, wicks it back up in here, and now my paint will go on more smoothly. Too, just do that every now and then. It'll help a lot. Once your paint starts kind of showing the little pores or little, dry brush almost, then that's when you want to pick up a little bit more water. Okay, those are cool looking, huh? Very cool. I'll darken up right there where it's going to lifting up out of the water. All right. I can already tell I'm going to have to come back in with some green in between, but that's all right. Green in between. I'm just going to continue these stripes down into the center here. So they're kind of curving right here, and then they kind of go straight. So just keep an eye on that, but the lines should kind of continue down through that shadow area. There. Okay. Nice. I so want to go in here and do my highlights, but I'm going to wait. gonna wait. Delayed gratification. Okay, here we go. These ones. Just gonna look at your biggest shapes too and do those first. And that'll help kind of make it easier to see the rest of them because it can be easy to get lost. So kind of just try to find your first areas that are really identifiable shapes. Do those first. So there's one across here that also kind of lines up with this one. And kind of just goes all the way to the edge right here. And then connects up over here, comes down. Okay, let's do across here. A little bit of water just to keep my brush hydrated. There's a split right here, I think, but it's kind of, you can't really see it because it's so close together. And I think I could probably have a little bit of blue in this. On this one I'm seeing a little bit, but I think I'll just put that on top. So I think I'll put these in and then I'll add any details to them. And this water lily has a big shadow right here. Okay, just keeping on going here.
And you're looking good doing it.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Do you need me to step in and do it for you for a little while? I can finish up the other two real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah, this is taking longer than I expected it to. Well, I don't know why, because there's a lot of stripes here, so it just takes time. It's not really hard necessarily. It's just
they're not stripes.
what are they? Splotches?
No, they're little stripies.
Little stripies? Is that what I was calling them?
Yes.
Little stripies.
Lil stripies.
Little stripies.
That's right. That's the botanical term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Art brain for the win. Okay. Pretty close there to where I want to be, I think. Just kind of soften off some of that. Oh, there's a little bit more on this side. There. Okay. And then there is a little pool of water in here too, but I don't think I'm going to try to do it because it's not that noticeable. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Might be able to get it in there without too much trouble. Going back in and kind of adding some darker bits. Okay. Why did I do these two over here? I'm rethinking my life choices at this moment. Oh, it's good. It's all good. So we've got some monster zucchini that we pulled from our garden yesterday. Was it yesterday? The day before? I can't remember. They're called a.
Yeah.
They're called a trombolina. Trombolina zucchini, and they're kind of whitish, like a light green white color, and about 3 feet long. Seriously, it's so big.
Tromboncino.
Tromboncino?
Yes. Tromboncino.
Tromboncino?
Tromboncino. Yeah, they're good. They're like a cross between a butternut squash, like a winter squash, and a summer squash.
Yeah. Yeah, firm fruit. The whole neck of it. It's got a really long neck and then just like a little bulb at the bottom of it, and it was no seeds in the neck at all. So it's just like having a whole zucchini with no seeds in it. Which I want to make since we've got so much, we've like, how many pounds of zucchini do you think we have? It's covering the whole top shelf of our refrigerator out in the garage. I cleared it off, so it's just covered in zucchini. There's 4 or 5 pounds of zucchini in there. I don't know.
We'll get it.
Yeah, we're going to have to make some lasagna or something with it. We've done it before, but it didn't. It was kind of late in the season. I don't think it produced that much, but
Right.
and it was happy out there this spring. It got huge.
Yeah.
The leaves themselves were like that big. I mean, they were huge.
Yeah, they're good foot across easily.
Yeah. Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, they were.
And then the bugs get to the vines.
Yeah. So yeah, that doesn't take long here before the bugs kind of figure it out and start coming in and eating everything. But till that happened, they were doing good.
Lots of squishes. And tomatoes are coming along well.
Yes, I had my first tomato the other day. Little baby cherry tomatoes, but got several big ones. Went back in and edited all the suckers off because I hadn't done that yet. Well, I did it early, but I hadn't done it in a while, so I had to almost half of some of the plants got cut because they were just falling out almost to the ground already. All right, so I'm using this purple here. I've added a little bit of blue, and then I'm grabbing a little bit of my green and some white, or actually I think it was using Unbleached Titanium. I was talking about tomatoes and dreaming of bacon sandwiches later. All right, so that's good. It's like a couple shades lighter than the purple here. Got a little bit of blue sheen to it, and I actually want to wipe most of it out. And I'm just going to kind of use it to sort of dust on top of my purpley areas to knock them back. Because there's some kind of shadows, and or like the sky is, you know, affecting it. So there's some of that. They're wet, so they're picking up a little bit of that. Not necessarily wet all over, but you know, where they are wet, they're picking up that sky interference. So just a little bit. See how that makes a difference? It kind of makes it, settles it in too. Doesn't have to be everywhere, but just kind of, especially where maybe that looks a little bit too thick, or you know, you want to knock back the color a little bit. Like right along this edge here, there's a lot of it, which means it's probably wet or was wet. Okay, nice. All right, there's a little bit of it on the inside of this one here. I'm not really seeing it on this particular part of it much. I'm gonna get some of that green and some yellow. This is my dark green from before. I'm all out of my other greens, so I'm just gonna try to make some of that lighter green again. I don't remember what was in that. I think it was the low green and burnt sienna. Maybe with some yellow. Adding white. Okay. Coming back in the opposite direction with some, the white's important, so it'll cover, kind of knock back some of that purple. Okay. What time is it? Okay, I need to hurry because I need to start on my flowers.
You can do it.
Okay, so I'm just kind of using this green to sort of help merge the colors. And anywhere where I want like a spot or something put in. So you can see where I've done it and I haven't done it. This one didn't need it much, but this one did. I kind of took out all my green on this one for some reason. Kind of ended up with a lot of purple. All right. I haven't, oh yeah, I did do the blue on that one. Okay. I was here for that. It really is kind of an outer body experience sometimes when you're doing this. Like I have people ask me, you know, what brush, like years later, they'll be like, what brush did you use right there? Why, what color was that? And I'm like, you think, I can't even remember what I did this week. Like, I can't even remember what I did this hour sometimes. I am just booking here. It's all kind of intuitive. You're in that headspace where you're just not really, you're kind of making choices, but you're not really paying attention too much to each individual choice. It's not, you know, and it kind of just flows one into another at some point, and my brain does not retain any of it. So
Welcome to my life. That's pretty much everything.
pretty much for everything.
Yep.
That explains a lot.
I mean, I still know who you are, so that's good.
That's true.
And I rarely forget to eat, and that's good.
Well, Mark and I don't fight a lot. When we do fight, a lot of times it's because he's lost something of mine. We
I
a bit of a
lose,
tip yesterday.
I didn't lose anything. What are you talking about exactly here?
Not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying somebody buried my favorite magnifying glass in some Legos.
It's fine. It was with the Legos, hanging out with its
I was
friends.
happy with the Legos. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good, I think. Just kind of add that blue and that green back in after doing the stripies. And this one I'm not loving that much. I think I need to add more of the, it's kind of dark, so I think I just need to add more of the dark stripies here. I'm going to flatten it out because I kind of have the center a little bit off. There we go. Okie doke. So let's add our highlights around the edges of these, and then we can move on to other stuff. So I'm going to use the Unbleached Titanium, maybe a little bit of that purple. I think I'll add a little bit of Ultramarine Blue. Okay, and so going probably a couple shades lighter than what I did on this part, you know, the smoky blue. So a couple shades lighter than that. Might even go a tiny bit white just to really knock it back. And then I'm going to use this, and this is going to really define those edges. So I'm just going to use this 2 round here, and I'm going to add my waterline. Fun, fun, fun. I'll add it over here. And then actually right here, this part is raised up. It's going to be a different color. It's not a water mark, it's something else. So kind of round them out there. Some of these up there are a little bit bigger. And then down here it's not, they're not as wide. This will all be disappeared under the lily, probably. Okay. All the way around, pretty much. leave a little bit of that purple showing underneath. I'm not covering all of that because that's our shadow, right? So we need that dark purple underneath. Kind of cutting in on that dark part. So a little bit of that shadow leaves the border with our shadow. I don't know what I'm saying. I just said the same thing 3 times. Okay, there we go. And then let's add a little bit of this on here where the water line comes across right there. And then I'm gonna get some just unbleached titanium, a little bit of the green, maybe a little bit of the purple. That purple took over, didn't it? So just a little bit more earthy toned, maybe even a little bit of yellow. There we go. And this is going to go right on the edge. Let me get some white here and really have a bright spot on these ones. All right, really sticking up out of the water there. And then we can use it on any of these other ones where we want a spot to look like it's sticking up out of the water. Okay. All right, let's paint our lilies. And this is where, you know, if you need to do anything more with your water, you should do it now. I'm gonna maybe get a little bit of my green and my ultramarine blue. I'm just kind of lock in a little bit more color in some of these areas in here where it's kind of turned lighter than I want it. You can add some burnt sienna too, or burnt umber to it if it's too blue, but I don't mind a little bit of brighter blue. Okay. I hope I left enough of the blue there. I don't know if I covered up enough of that flower. We'll see. I feel like I didn't come in far enough. Let me do that. I'm just going to cover this up. Just because I don't want any, when I come in with my petals, I don't want any of that blue peeking through. Or any of that yellow peeking through, I mean. I need to blend out that edge there a little bit. Okay, let's do this stem here while we're waiting for that to dry. So I'm going to get my yellow oxide and my green, some white, I really need it kind of more, mostly yellow. There we go. smaller line on it. There we go. And then it just kind of cuts off when it hits the water there. And that's always going to be level right there. So make sure when you cut it off, you do it level. It's kind of rounded though. I can kind of see the round bit there. And then just going to get some of that darker color. Maybe some of the watercolor with it, and do my highlight or my reflection. It's actually, I think it's underwater. And just let it kind of trail off into nothing. Right there. Okay. And then I'm going to use this darker color up underneath here and kind of along this side. Okay. There's some other leaves in here that I'm going to leave those out. There's just kind of dead leaves or whatever. I can't really tell. And if you want to do another stem like looking like underwater, you could do that. I've seen, you know, where like I can kind of see where these ones come from. You could do that under there. Like I could see this one. I'm going to do that one. Maybe this one. Just like a light, very light dry brush. Okay, that's good. That's dry now. Before I forget, I want to put my dark shadow line here. So I'm going to get some of that dark purple and do my little semicircle right there where it connects to the water. Okay. And then there's just a slight bit of that blue color too, kind of on either side, like little semicircles right there and there. Alright, so I'm going to use my Filbert, I think. We'll see. If I need to, I can switch to my angle brush, but fewer brushes to clean the better, so if I can do it with the Filbert, I will. I think I probably can. I'm going to clean out these ones that I'm not using right now. Set them aside. Make sure they stay wet so they don't dry out with paint in them. Scrape my area clean. I'm going to leave that green though, because I want that. And I leave my purple, because I need that. The rest of that can go. Alright. So my flowers got magenta, white, and then it'll have some of that purple. I think that'll be the color right there. And then there'll be plenty of areas that's kind of mostly white or unbleached titanium. I'm going to start with that just to kind of block in the shape, and then we'll edit the petals. Okay, so be brave here. Let's see, I want this. I want it right here. And so I'm looking at the overall shape. So I've got this bowl here. That's where my petals are going to come out from. I'm going to set that one down and turn it towards me. It's going to be one big one. And there's one here that's going over the top of this guy. Another one that's coming out this way. Darker one, I'm going to get some blue here. Darker one that's over here. When they're not hitting the light, getting the light, they're kind of bluish. Kind of in the middle there. Getting that darker pink. Okay. And then it's going to do kind of a semicircle here, so I want to keep these in the same kind of general size that they should be. Yeah, that's working.
You are brave and you did it.
You could draw it out too. So if you don't want to, I would definitely, like, I will have a traceable for this, so you can trace it on at that point. You know, you trace on the lily pad area, and then trace on the flower after you're done, and just paint over it like I did here with the blue. Just don't worry about where the flower's going to be, and then trace on the flowers at the end over the top. Okay, looks good. Let's do this one up here. This one's a little higher and closer to us, a little bit bigger. I have a better picture that's kind of facing me a little bit, so I think I might change so that I can see the face of this one a little bit. And the only difference is that there's a little bit more of these bottom petals. It's a little bit more of a circle than a I don't know what this shape is here, kind of a wedge shape. I think I'll do that on this one.
We can hear you whispering. You're doing fine. So somebody in Cheddar earlier said that Monet did like 250
Yeah.
water lily paintings.
Yes.
So we have our plan for the Tuesday night shows for the next 5 years.
Trying to catch up.
Yep.
I like it. I know when I start to see myself repeat, the same kind of paintings over and over again, I'm like, hey, it could be worse. You like what you like as an artist, You kind of, like, I could paint mushrooms and butterflies all day, every day sometimes, I only do different things for you, guys. And I mean that. Oh yeah. I kind of want a bud, but I don't think I'm gonna. I don't think I'm going to, because I kind of feel like I want a third flower. You know, like kind of almost need a third flower. We could do it in here. I do have one that's kind of just poking up out of the water just so slightly. Like that. And then you can use the kind of round. It'll need some help. Then we'll put the waterline stuff in there. Okay, so I need to make this center darker so that my flower doesn't look flat. So I'm going to get my magenta and unbleached titanium, or I'm sorry, burnt sienna and magenta. Go ahead and put that in. Sort of at that crease. Pull it down and out. Okay. I'm going to switch to my round brush and work on the center of the flowers. I'm going to get the magenta and orange, or my yellow and magenta to make an orange. That's going to go down in here. This one's not going to be as visible because it's kind of hiding back here, but I'm going to make this one more visible right here. Okay. I do feel like it goes straight across right here. Kind of feel like you could have, could have maybe made it go out a little bit more. I don't know. It's too late now. I'm going to add a little bit of dark to this. That'll help a lot. A little bit more dark on this one. Getting my white and my yellow mixed together. Fitzy's letting me know it's almost the 2-hour mark with his sighing. Thank you, Fitzy. Marking the 2 hour. Dog. Okay, there we go. More spiky on top, and then toward the bottom I'm just dabbing like circles down here. Those are coming at us. You're only going to see the lines where they're moving away from us. Okay, going back in with a second layer there. I'm going to go a little bit darker with my magenta. Maybe some of that burnt sienna. Just right in there. Alright, let me see. I just need to let that first layer dry, so just waiting for it to dry. Let's get the magenta, a little bit of white, and some of that purple. Okay, staying fairly dark here. Kind of come in from the tip. Some of them are a little bit darker than that, so I'm going to get some of the darker magenta, kind of do some creases in here on some of them. This is where the water is going to have that shadow color too, so need to not forget that. And use this same color. Purple. Just covered up all of that stem. I don't want that stem to go away. There you go. There's also some dark purple under here. It's really dark right there. And then there's some of the highlights up above. It's looking weird. We'll get it there, I promise. It's just gotta work through the weird. Okay, it's getting closer. I feel like I lost it over here somewhere. I feel like it needs to come out farther over here, probably. Alright, I'll work on that later. Let's finish those flowers. Getting some white, pink. And right in the center, it's pretty bright white. There's a lot of the petals that are just catching the light, so I'm gonna kind of go back over and just add a little highlight to what I've already got. Kind of on either side. Kind of stop sort of before I get to the center there fully, because I want to add more petals, and if I have the all white everywhere, I won't be able to add my petals. Okay. So here's starting to put in new petals here. One coming out right here. There, let me get a little bit more of that magenta color. I need to do the inner petals first before I do these outer ones, though. Okay, so let's do the ones that are on the inside here first, and then we'll finish off. So here's a smaller one. Coming up there. Already started it there, and this is a new one there, and then just in at the tips of some of those that are sticking out. Right, and now I'm going to do the ones up over the center here. So there's one right here, one kind of right next to it, and another one up there. Like that. It kind of looks funky, so I need to put the color on the tips. I think that'll help. Get that pink. Okay, so that one's done. Let's do these ones now. So, again, kind of doing a second layer of the pink here. white. Use fluid white here too, it might make it a little easier. I find that I like the heavy body though. I was trying to kind of work the fluid in, but I find that it's harder to do these kind of dry brushy thing where I want the paint to stop, you know, and with the heavy body acrylic I can kind of just lift it up and it sort of does its thing. It stops where I want it to. And the fluid paint just kind of keeps going. It seems like it's having a hard time getting it to stay where I want it to stay. Just want it to spread all over, which is, you know, good if you want it to do that. But if you're trying to do some of these techniques that I like to do, where I'm flicking down to create streaks and things, then that's not going to work because it doesn't do that. It just wants to create a line all the way down. Doesn't want to break up. All right, so let's do some of the in-between here. So get my white and do a couple of in-between petals that are smaller, overlapping. Maybe that one's one of them. You always want to do the ones in the back first, then you won't have to clean up or paint around anything to do them. Good, put one right there. And just make sure you're leaving a little bit of the dark in between and the petals there. Just helps it. Alright, so now let's do some of these ones that are in the front. These aren't going to be as pikey up over. They're going to come up to about right here and end right in there. There's one that's kind of smaller right here, coming down. Another one sort of right there. This one's just slightly tilted towards us, so petals are not covering as much of that center. Okay, almost there. I'm going to widen out the base of these ones that are close to us. They're seeing more of that part tucked down in. I'm making some of these a little bit bigger. Okay. And let's add some of the pink, purple to the tips. Giving some shadow where these are coming out of the center. There. Get a little bit more of the white. And just hitting some of the flatter surfaces with the white, or the areas where I'm seeing some light hitting them. Get some on the center part here too. A little bit more yellow. All right. That's close. Get a little bit more yellow right here. There's a transition between that dark and the light yellow. Kind of a third color. Might bring it out a little bit more. A little bit up with the yellow. Get a little bit of the darker purpley color. Mix that in and just kind of go in and every so often have a little bit of that darker color. There's some really dark areas in this. You can do that before you do this if you want, either way. Just noticing that I need a little bit more depth. It's looking a little flat. So going in with a little bit of the darker color. Probably didn't go dark enough. It looked dark at the time, but it probably wasn't near dark enough. Okay, now it's starting to stand out a little bit more. Can I have contrast, or it just doesn't, it kind of just falls flat. Something like this where you got a light color. There is dark in there. And probably the last thing I would do is, it's the last thing I do, I'm going to, I have to do that. I have to. I'm going to make a kind of reddish, orangey, like a more yellowish color. Just, I want to integrate these with this because they kind of look a little too different right now. And there is some yellow in these, which I didn't really put in. So just the easiest way to do that is just here at the end, have that glaze. And I'm just going to glaze over parts of them. And it's just that magenta and India yellow. So you can see the one I've done and the one I haven't done. Difference. So just the parts of it are done this side, haven't done that side. Just helps kind of tint and tone the flower. It also makes it look more like it's part of our scene. Much better. And you know, if you darken it up too much with this, you can always go back in and add more white. This is another way of darkening up your layers too. You could always go in with your dark shadowy color, maybe a little bit of blue even. Blue, magenta, and purple mixture that we've been using. That was the color that we used on here, and I'm going to use that in my water shadow. I don't love my shadow in my water, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it tonight because I don't really have time. That's a whole nother lesson. I just have to call it good enough for now. Okay, shadowing some of these petals out here. Yeah. I think that shadow just needs to be darker. I'm gonna get my purple and my burnt umber. There. My water around it is pretty light, so it's pretty dark, so it kind of didn't quite have the same impact. Right, and then I'm going to use my light yellow green again in the water. Try to get my stem back in there. Okay. Getting some of the magenta, my white, so similar to that color, but kind of has that dirty mixture in it. All right, there we go. Now we're getting it a little bit better. Just have to kind of commit to it and do it, you know. I think I had my drawing off center a little bit too, so I needed to shift it over. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Still not 100% where I want it to be, but it's closer to it. So just kind of using almost the same colors as before. Oh, there's also a shadow of the stem that I'm missing. So there's a shadow coming off of here this way. Yep. Right there. And then the shadow under the water is a little bit brighter. There we go. Phew. Okay, get a little bit of a dark shadow underneath the flower right here. And I'm sure there's things I'm missing, but we're gonna just call it good because we're right at the 8 o'clock. It's already gone over, so there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was it kind of turned out a little bit more realistic than I always tend to go there, don't I? So I can't help it. But we're close. Oh, I need to do the little water line on this guy. So we get the purple, and we'll draw the water line across him, kind of right in here. And then a little bit of the blue with the purple. White for our kind of water reflection area there. Okay, that's good. I'm going to put that back in on this one because I kind of lost it when I did my shadows. All right, I think that's good. We're going to stop there. Thank you guys for hanging out with us another Tuesday. You always make it awesome. We enjoy getting to spend time with you guys, getting to do these live streams with you for all these years. It's been amazing. Thank you for our patrons. So yeah, if you want to see more of my tutorials, see the other water lilies that I've done, you can search for that on my Thankful Art. Go to the tutorials section, and there's hundreds. Every single painting that I've done on YouTube or Patreon is there on thankfulart.com. And then you can also go to patreon.com/AngelaFineArt to see about becoming a patron, get the traceable for this, and all that other good stuff. Let me show you what we worked on Thursday. We finished up our challenge video. So this is our teacups challenge. And we work on these challenge videos on we're moving it to Fridays. On Friday afternoons for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And work on it until it's done all through the month. Sometimes 2 months, depending on how long it takes. I think this one was 6 weeks to get it. There's a lot of details in the teacups. This one took 2 weeks just for that. But yeah, lots of fun. We'll do much more detailed, in-depth paintings, and you also see the design part in those. So that's all the information about that is on Patreon.
Yeah, our patrons are absolutely amazing people.
They are.
For
They're
sure.
awesome.
We
And I
really, really appreciate them.
enjoy getting to hang
great.
out with them. The chat is very small. It's very intimate. There's a lot more back and forth with me. Well, when I stop to read, since it's just me, Mark's at work. But yes, so there's a really great group of folks that have been doing it with me for years, and
Great friends.
yes, it's really
man.
fun. Oh, good, because I wanted to add some more white here. So while you do that, I'm just adding white highlights back in.
This just in.
Awesome.
Let me see if I can get this to work. There we go.
Wordy log, Lemon character jumping excitement with his heart beating out of his chest. That's awesome. I love those descriptions.
Yeah. There was no words, but
Oh,
thank you
Wordy.
so much, Wordy.
Very sweet.
No words from Wordy.
Exactly.
That's great.
It's a god. I love that. Okay, yeah, so that white, that little bit of white, it helps. I'm going to do it on this one too. Just helps kind of pop them out a little bit, since I kind of covered them with that yellow. Kind of lost a little bit of it, so I'm going to put back in my edge of my stem there too. Okay. Well, hope you guys have a good week.
Stay cool.
Stay cool. We're going to be starting a new challenge video on Friday. I'm moving my challenge videos to Fridays. That's those Patreon ones that I was just talking about. So if you're one of those patrons, I'll be looking for that email. We'll be doing some stacked books, so that should be fun. It'll be kind of stacked books with flowers and mushrooms and things growing out of them. It's going to be kind of a fantasy take on it, so I think it'll be fun, and we'll be starting that design on those this week, so plenty of time to join us for that. And the challenge videos also include all of the old, that challenge tier
Right.
on Patreon includes all of the old tutorials too, so it's everything that we've done for the since 2017 with my patrons. We've got a lot of really fun ones that we've done and continue to do. So,
And of course, down below this video is the description and all the list of the supplies and links
Yes.
to Amazon and Blick and others where you can purchase stuff if you need it.
yep. Yes, sir.
Hey, it's only 6 months till Christmas, so you better start your Christmas shopping now.
Exactly.
Good excuse.
Yes, I know it. Oh gosh, I'm never ready. I need to. You're right. This is my warning, isn't it? I need to start now. Don't say you didn't warn me. I'm going to add a little bit of that unbleached titanium over here, just to kind of glazing. It's not really glazing though, because it's opaque. But there we go. Yeah, that toned it down a little bit from the white. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.